Everybody's telling me I need to do something more creative with my videos. Well, I decided I would go ahead and try out some stop motion animations.
Today, we're going to talk about a few things. I'm learning stop motion animation. I'm using Dragon Frame as the application, and in order to get my lenses close enough to the subjects, and especially the little tiny Lego subjects that I'm using, I have picked up diopters, and lots of them. So, today, let's talk about that. I picked up a set of diopters because I have a bunch of anamorphic lenses which typically have a minimal focal distance of about 3 feet or more. That being said, I can't use those anamorphic lenses to do close-up photography, and if I wanted to use those with something like a stop motion set or do some close-up video, I can't do that very easily. So I went out and picked up a cheap set. I think these were actually $14 or maybe $12 of Vivitar diopters. Now, these diopters I bought in a 77mm and an 82 or 86mm diameter for the front focal or front lens thread. Now, these come in a set of 4, so there is a one-time magnification, a 2-time magnification, a 4-time magnification, and I believe a 6-time magnification. Now, with that being said, this allows me to get very close to whatever subject I'm trying to film, and it helps me when I'm doing something like I have behind me, where I am doing some stop motion animation and I'm using very tiny Lego pieces, but I have larger lenses to get a shallower depth of field, or I want to use a specific lens in order to make it feel a little bit more unique. So I picked up these diopters, and what they do is you have a set of 4, and I actually have one of these on this lens back here. You thread these onto the front of the lens, and it shortens, it does a little bit of magnification, but then it shortens the focal distance on your lens. So if you had, like this lens has like a 3-foot minimal focal distance. That's not very good for something that needs to be up as close as this is. So I have a 4 times diopter on here, and I'm able to get a focal distance of, I think right now it's about 1.25 foot, 1.5 feet maybe. So it greatly decreases that. Now, that being said, it's got a little peculiarities. There are some vignetting that I'm seeing in these, and these were $12, $14. So it's not like I spent a terrible amount of money on these. And you can pick up nicer diopters than this. Now, I picked these up because I just wanted to learn how to use diopters. And on a lot of anamorphic channels, they talk about diopters and adapting your lenses so that you can get a shorter focal distance. So that's what I'm doing here. And I'm pretty glad that I did, because these are a lot of fun. So, getting into it, I actually have a set of anamorphic Micro Four Thirds lenses that I first used these on, and I did a couple tests running some of these stick figures that I have, these posable figures, and just decided to try and see what it would look like if I put them on, and how close I'd have to get, and just really how close I could get to these characters. That was my first sort of test with it, and it worked really well. I was really happy with it. Now, what it does mean is that you might have to reposition your camera, because it will change your infinity focus and it will change your near focus. And so you put these on, or you put on the diopters, and so then you have to move the camera closer to the subject, and why they call them macro diopters. And so it really, you bring it in closer, like here, like I said, I cut down the minimal focal distance by half. And so it's really shortened it up, and it gives me the ability to have my character show up in the screen. I also have a set for my full frame 50mm Sirui anamorphic lens. This did not work as well as the Micro Four Thirds lenses. It sort of It made some chromatic aberration, some vignetting. It also took out some of the sharpening that the lens had, so I wasn't so fond of it on that 50mm one, but the one that I'm using with the Micro Four Thirds is working great. Now with this, I'm using this on a Canon R with an RP with a 70-200 f4 lens. I also had it on a couple other lenses just to test out, but this seems to be working great. Now, that being said, I am using this to do some stop motion animation. I've gotten into watching the Craftsman Steady Craftin' channel, and he does a lot of animation and stop motion videos, and it's really inspired me to try it out. So I went ahead and I got a copy of Dragon Frame, which is a pretty standard tool for stop motion animation, and got myself set up to go ahead and do a little stop motion animation. Now, there are a number of things that I'm learning through this process, such as how to free up your space so you're not bumping into things, you're not changing your light, you're actually controlling your light quite a bit. I went ahead and I blocked out the window behind me. Now, this isn't going to be a final scene, I'm just doing this to sort of test out the software and get familiar with it. But yeah, it's been really fun to learn so far, and it's been something that it's slow going. You can download a trial copy of Dragon Frame and try it out. I think it limits you to how many frames you can capture, which then limits you how long your sample movies can be, and it puts a watermark on it. So the ones I have here do not have watermarks now that I've actually got myself a copy of it, and the interface is super easy to use, and it's pretty intuitive. The other thing that I actually really like about Dragon Frame is it has an audio sync tool where you can pull in different faces with different mouth structures and so forth, and sync your audio to those. That's what I'm working on right now. I might put up some tutorial videos. I do suggest, trying out some of these Vivitar diopter lenses, macro lenses as they call them, or macro filters. They're a lot of fun to use. They're not optically perfect, so be aware of that, but they are cheap, and you could get it for $12–14 for a set of 77mm. Adapt them to any of your lenses and try using it out. So that's what I've got for this week. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next.